I honestly feel bad about trashing Kevin Smith, considering I even look like the guy. But this needs to be said. Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Izzy. This is the Izzy Nobre Show. There is a pattern, a predictable pattern, when Kevin Smith puts out new movies these days. This is not like even a recent thing, but let's start from the beginning. Kevin Smith is a filmmaker, I'm sure you know. He got his start in the 90s. He put out a movie called Clerks. It's a pretty good movie. It's an indie flick that he went massively into debt to finance, and he sold it at Sundance, and that's how he became a Hollywood darling, at least for like 5 minutes in Hollywood, because his follow-up was pretty shitty, and he's been on a steady decline downwards. Well, decline downwards kind of redundant. Just take that part out. Take that part out. I don't think any of his movies managed to be as good as his first outing, which is kind of sad for somebody who creates content, I guess. Some have been a little bit better than others. Like Dogma was pretty okay. Clerks 2 was what else? He doesn't have that many good movies in his catalog. That's what I'm trying to say. He came out with a pretty strong start with Clerks, and I really respect what he went through to just bring his creation to life. It really makes me appreciate how easy we have. I'm gonna end up breaking one of these things one day. I don't get paid enough here to break this shit. It makes me appreciate how easy it is to create something today. I have a camera here, I have some lights, I have a computer that I can use to edit my videos, and that's it. I'm set. I can go and tell my stories. But back then it was a lot harder, so I appreciate what the guy had to go through. But here's the thing. His movies have not been very great, and he seems to always have to come out and give some kind of excuse as to why his movies weren't so great. I remember with Mallrats, infamously, he said that after people in Hollywood saw Clerks, they kind of fast-tracked him to be like a new comedy director that understands the kids, and the result was there's a lot of studio meddling, executive meddling, I think is the proper term, and the movie did not come out how he intended. And since then, every movie that comes out, he has some excuse as to why it didn't work, and you know, the studio and the pressure and mainstream Hollywood. At some point he even said that he didn't want critics to see his movies anymore. They'd have to pay. He wouldn't allow critics He wouldn't allow critics to just see his movies. They would have to pay as a paying member of the audience if they're gonna trash his movies. Apparently he doesn't understand how critics work, I suppose. And then at one point he said he was gonna quit Hollywood entirely and just focus on his podcast and his live Q&A sessions and stuff like that. By the way, his movies, his Q&A movies, great stuff. I remember when I first came to Canada, they would play A Night with Kevin Smith on Comedy Channel. I haven't had cable in forever, so I never know if it's Comedy Channel or Comedy Central. One is American, one is Canadian. Fuck! I would watch that all the time because I had nothing else to do. Anyway, so then his new thing now is that he makes movies, and he just comes out and says, I know these movies are stupid, these movies are not for the critics, I did this for myself, I did it because I enjoy writing these and blah blah blah. And there's always some justification, some explanation, some after the fact, like, oh, you know, I wasn't really trying to make something great, come on, get off my dick about it. And listen, Kevin, he's not watching this, but I don't understand why he always has to come up with this whole song and dance about how this video, his movies now are just this experimentation with whatever. I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was a guest recently, and he was talking about his latest film, which is called, what is it again? Fuck, what is it called again? Yoga Hosers. Yoga Hosers. The trailer, I'm gonna link down below, is fucking awful. It's awful. Absolutely awful. So apparently he's aware of this because he admitted through all stages of producing this flick that this is totally like, people are not going to get it, people are going to think it's trash, I'm making for a very specific target audience. If that's true, that's great if you're happy with that, but why do you have to keep justifying yourself and offering excuses? Stop caring what critics say. Like, actually stop caring. Don't just keep constantly repeating that you don't care what critics say because they don't get it. They just don't get it. They're fuck, man. It's like every time. It's like, it's a predictable cycle. Kevin Smith puts out a movie and then what the fuck just happened here? Kevin Smith will put out a movie and then I know that the next like 10 podcasts that he'll be on is gonna be explaining why critics just don't get it, and it's just getting tiring. I don't get it. If your thing is schlock now, just embrace it. Stop coming up with explanations, with justifications, with, oh, but I'm not trying to do high art. This is for a very specific target audience. Stop it. Just if you're reaching them, they know. Was Corman always coming up with explanations like this? Was John Waters always having to explain himself and justify his movies like that? If your thing is schlock, just embrace the schlock. That's it. Either really don't care about what critics say and just fucking put out your movies and don't even read what they're saying, because if you know they're not gonna like it, why are you even submitting yourself to this? Are you a fucking masochist? So the way I see it, there's two options for your own, like, for you to save your own time and sanity. Either you actually stop making movies like you said you would, and then this is not gonna be a problem anymore for you, or you actually live by what you preach and you actually just target these movies to this very specific, and I mean, according to the reviews, very small target audience that get your vision. To constantly hear Kevin Smith complaining that the critics don't get his movies and they're out to just get him and they hate him and blah blah blah. And what's worse, because he follows that up with, you know what, I wasn't trying to make Citizen Kane anyway. I wasn't trying to make a great movie. I knew it was gonna be a shit movie. It was a stupid premise anyway. I already knew. It sounds like the guy who can't get a date and comes up with explanations as to why he doesn't even want a date. Kevin Smith's constant whining about critics, but at the same time saying, you know, I don't care about critics anyway because I'm just going for this audience and they get it, fuck the critics. For him to be constantly saying that, it just sounds like sour grapes. But I want to know what you think. Are you a Kevin Smith fan? Do you like his movies? I haven't liked a Kevin Smith movie in a while, but I do appreciate what the guy puts out in other forms. I like his podcast, I like his YouTube videos. I do like his insight into pop culture, and like I said, his series of movies where he tells stories about what it was like to work in Hollywood, very much like an outsider. The guy has always been kind of a Hollywood outsider by his own admission. Those videos, very entertaining. If I can't say the same about his last couple of movies. Seriously, Yoga Hosers looked like fucking shit. That movie looks like shit. What? Fuck! Anyway, that's all the time I have for today because I have to go to work. If you're new here, why don't you subscribe? There's videos here every, I'm gonna say weekly-ish? Or follow me on Twitter. I'm way more active. Perhaps too active on Twitter, I have been told. Well, anyway, I'm Izzy, and I'm done. By the way, since we're talking about bad movies, worst movie I've ever seen in my life, White Chicks. I cannot explain to you. If I had a week, I could not explain to you all the reasons I hate that movie so much. And chief among them is the fact that so many people in Brazil love that fucking movie. That movie is on TV all the time, from what I can tell. And Brazilians fucking love that movie. Why? Fuck, I hate that movie.